welcome back to Alpha Art Gallery's meeting, the Meet the Artist series. My name is Petra Anastasia Nyoato, and I'm here with ReBecca Welz, who is an exhibiting artist for the New Brunswick Art Salon Oil, Sculpture, and Mixed Media exhibition. So, hi, Rebecca. How are you today?
I'm good. Nice to be with you today.
Nice to be with you too. So, can you tell us about your background and what initially inspired you to become an artist?
My background is I was born in California and then I was an Air Force brat. And so my family moved around a lot as a younger person. And I just always was drawing and was always making things and making jewelry and experimenting with different materials, even as a little kid. And I would fill notebooks full of drawings. And I liked drawing fashion. I liked drawing things, just all kinds of activities that were physical and creative, and yeah, and yeah. Then eventually, it became evident that that's what I wanted to do as a um, older person and career. So
Amazing. And what motivates you to create?
it's something innate. It's just something I want to do and I have to do and I love doing. And my mind is always working, thinking about possibilities of things to make and observing. And one of the things about being an artist that I find so pleasurable is that I think sometimes we look for things or we look at things that might not normally be looked at. For example, outside my studio window is a roof patch or some roof patches, and they're quite beautiful. They're these little pieces of, I guess it's some kind of vinyl or something, but they're sort of lined up and they're different shades of gray and they're quite beautiful. And so it's something that we wouldn't normally think about looking at, but I think that we working visually, we develop a really keen sense of awareness, and that really helps to sort of feed the inspiration. But I always want to work. I always am looking and thinking and wanting to get my hands busy with making something.
Hmm. And what are your biggest artistic influences?
Yeah, I thought about that question, and it's I think as if you're thinking about what kind of foods you eat, you're an omnivore. I think I'm an artnivore. I don't know if there's a word like that, but I've just looked at everything I can get in front of me, and um, I've had the privilege of not only from my upbringing but also just because of what I like to do and what I've want to do, to be able to experience a number of different cultures. And um, I'm influenced by the Japanese culture because I lived there for 2 years as a child. And I think there's so many artists of the past that have been of influence, and then there's present day artists. And I think that we have this sort of unspoken dialogue between things and between work, other artists' work. That's like we were bouncing off of each other. We see something, and we don't want to copy it, but it's sort of in our head. Oh, so and so did this, or I like this color combination, and so it's all this sort of woven experience of things that we see and are influenced by. I also studied a lot of architecture. Just got really interested in reading about that. New York City is this wealth of architecture, from really old buildings to newer ones like the Calatrava building that's downtown. That's um, the hub for the PATH train, and I mean that's just I call it the cathedral. And then the oldest and first skyscraper in New York is the Louis Sullivan Building, which is right near me here, which is all clay. It's terracotta, and it's just kind of amazing. So all of those things sort of feed into being inspiring and shaping who we are and how we see things and how we work and what our voice is.
Well, thank you. And can you share more about your transition from painting to creating sculptures?
Yes. When I first moved to New York, I had a space where I could do painting, and that's what I was doing. And that's was my first show was a show of paintings, large paintings. Um, and then I got really bored with the two-dimensional surface. So I started buying sheet acrylic, and I was scratching it and sanding it and gouging it and hinging it and doing all kinds of things and made some really early pieces. I think form-wise, they were very crude, but surface-wise, they were pretty interesting. And then I built a strip heater, which would where I could lay a sheet over this long strip that had a heating element, and I could lay sheets on it, um, and so then I would fold the form, and I did that for about 20 years with the sheet acrylic. But I found that more interesting for me than the flat paintings, and so I really, a friend of mine says even when I do work on paper, I build the work. And I think that's really true, that I'm really, thinking about, the 3D space. It's not the flat space, but I'm thinking about, building the form or building the image on the paper.
Amazing.
Um,
And how was your long tenure at Pratt Institute? How it impacted your artistic practice?
Pratt's an amazing place. It's so full of so many exciting ideas and students and people, and it's very um, enlightening to um, put ideas into words so that other people can understand them, and also to develop your visual acuity so that you can talk about other people's work. And so that, I think, as far as clarity, that's something that is very has been a really great influence. Also, got really interested in biomimicry, the study of how nature solves design problems, and then how we can apply that to things that we make and products that we make. And that has really influenced my current work, the steel work, a lot, because the forms are, a lot of them, very organic. Um, and then I realized that the thoughts about our environment and certainly the reverence for our earth. um, 3.8 billion years life has had that much time to develop, and then we're just a few million. So humans are a few million. So it's a pretty awe-inspiring um, thing to look at nature and um, see how she solves things and how she designs things. So that's been a really big influence. And it's interesting. I teach in the industrial design department and also in foundation. And sometimes I think, oh, what would it be like to teach a sculpture class? And then I realized that in industrial design, I have learned so much more than I would have if I'd been in the sculpture department. And that has taken me into this area of biomimicry and into that kind of research, and um, which I am really thankful for, and am um, I feel like that's really been incorporated into me, and it comes out with what I'm doing.
Thank you. Um, what does it mean to you to have your work included in private and corporate collections like Goldman Sachs?
Well, of course, that's a great thing. It feels great. Um, we, we do our work, and it's feels like recognition and acknowledgement, and those are good things, as far as having the work out there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And what do you feel is specifically unique about your voice as an artist?
Well, I feel like we're all unique. Every single person is totally unique, and every creature and plant and cell. Um, but I think the way that I'm working with steel right now is pretty interesting. Um, in that I heat it to bend it. So it's not just the fastening the steel. It's not just like I want to put it together and weld it. And it's that I'm heating it to bend it. And I know that this could be done in a forge, but a forge is like really big hot thing, and it heats up a whole section, a whole area at once. And I'm heating up a small section and then bending it. And it's very intuitive, and it can get this really hard material to be very fluid, and also to I also connect it. So I'm heating it to form it, and then connecting it. And then the combination, I think, with using this hard industrial material, and then um, tying in, my what I was just talking about with the biomimicry, that's a really big part of what I'm thinking about. And also, I don't think we escape our history, and so I always have something that um, feels somewhat Japanese, at least in my mind, because we lived 2 years in Japan, and then my parents collected all sorts of Japanese things. So wherever we moved, the house was filled with Japanese things. So I would be having breakfast and look up at a Japanese print. So that really kind of shaped my sensibility as far as space and line work, and um, so it's very interesting to realize, we just incorporate our history. It's part of us.
Yeah, like your journey. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And what do you want your viewers to take away from your artwork?
Well, we can never predict that. Uh, I would hope that they find um, the spirit that I put into it, the energy that I put into it, um, the certainly the expertise as far as my understanding of formal design elements, but I would hope they really enjoy it.
But yeah, that you would like the viewers to um, acknowledge the I would say like the soul and the energy you put in your works, and just yeah.
Yeah, if a viewer can tap into that or feel that, uh, that's really great. uh,
Well, I know I really enjoyed looking at your website and everything you are doing. So yeah,
you oh I appreciate that, thank you so much.
yeah. I can't wait to see you in person.
Oh, great. Yeah, I feel like they are hard to photograph, and um, I always feel like they look a lot better in person.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. And so let's talk a little bit more about the displacement series.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a very powerful symbol, and a tribute to the millions displaced by political unrest, genocide, and economic hardship. So, how did your experiences of frequent moving during your childhood shape your perception of home, and how does it reflect in your sculptures?
Yeah, the intransigence was certainly something that was is part of my history, and um, I count sometimes I count how many times I've moved, and I counted 19 times. So I thought I was in Guatemala with a group of students, and I often take students traveling where we go and we work with artisans, and so I took a group to Antigua, Guatemala. We've actually been 3 times, and there's a jeweler there that I work with, and I will draw something up, and he will make it. I know how to make it, but it's kind of a luxury to have him do it, and he
Mhm.
does it really quickly and beautifully. So I drew a bracelet that had 19 little houses on it, and I asked him to make it, and then it was quite beautiful. It is quite beautiful. Um, and it was the first time I had seen the 19 houses in form. It had always been the experience and in my head, but then I saw it in form, and it was like, oh, it was kind of intense, and I couldn't really look at it for a while. I mean, I accepted that he did a beautiful job on it, and I was happy about that, but I couldn't really engage with it too much. And then little by little, I started embracing it, started wearing it. Um, and then I realized that I would like to make them bigger, make the houses bigger. So I um, started making some houses, and I couldn't make, they're the archetypal houses of, this is a child's house drawing. But I wiggled all the edges, because I wanted to give each house a sense of history and a sense of that it's been through something. Um, it has history, it has experience, and it's not all shiny and new, and some are really kind of lopsided. So I just started making them, and then I realized I wanted to do a show of them with lots of them, and um, so they're different. They come in um, different groupings, and some hang from the ceiling, some are on the
Mhm.
wall, and then I painted some of them, um, so they are multicolored um, and quite vibrant.
Do you have the bracelet?
I do. You want to see it?
Yeah, can I?
Okay, I'll go get it.
Thanks.
So here's the bracelet. Uh,
Oh, oh wow.
so there are the houses. The houses are also archetypal, so that it's not that I thought about a particular house and it had this sort of, contour or roof line. It was
Mhm.
just, trying to make it a nice design. This is Guatemalan jade, so this is lavender jade, and this is green jade, and so that's it. And
Oh wow, I love it.
thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
I,
for showing me.
I do too, and I do wear it now. So and it was yeah, it was a good thing to put that into form. So
Mhm.
I felt good about it. Um, but as you started this question, talking about larger populations, that yes, I thought about my situation, which is very um, privileged in a way, in that I always had a home to go to.
Mhm.
Uh, Whereas, people migrating now or dealing with really major political issues often do not. But I wanted to pay a tribute to them.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely a lot of uncertainty or
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And how do you balance the technical aspects of working with materials like steel with the conceptual themes that you explore?
Um, just do it. I've always been really interested in technical things. I like hardware. I like uh, yeah, I really enjoy seeing how things work. I teach in industrial design, so I have to know how things work. And I really enjoy the welding. It's very kind of methodical, and I do not like to measure. I don't measure. I just eyeball everything. I worked doing graphic design for many years before I started teaching, and everything was minuscule and had to be absolutely perfect, and using a millimeter ruler and X-Acto knife. And nowadays, of course, a lot of that's on the computer, but um, I don't want to measure anything. So everything is very intuitive, and I just cut a piece, and then it goes around, and then things build, and um, that's how I work.
Yeah. I remember I did technical drawing in school too.
Yeah.
It was very, very like precise.
Yes, it is. It is. And yeah, I mean, there's certainly a place for that, and it's just for my temperament, I just really enjoy the looseness,
Mm.
and I think it also relates to nature in the sense that there are no straight lines in nature. I guess if you get on the cellular level, like crystals or something, you'll find straight lines, but
Mhm.
everything's about the curve. Uh,
Yeah.
So I'm about the curve. So
What new directions or materials are you excited to explore in your future projects?
I'm working on something now that's really fascinating me, which has to do with water and has to do
Mhm.
with flow. I was had the opportunity to go to Costa Rica a couple of years ago, and we took a little puddle jumper plane from one place to another, and I was photographing rivers out the window, and um, it wasn't super built up, so I could really see the landscape, and I could see how the rivers were um, sort of cutting into the land and curving. So I started um, doing some work on paper about having to do with those types of curves, and then I made a steel framework of a piece, and then I've been making these little clay forms out of air drying clay, and then um, because of the work on paper with the paint, I've been painting the air drying clay in the way that I'm working with it on the paper. So I'm trying to kind of get layers with almost like watercolor, and then I'm stringing those and putting that in the steel form. Um, so that's kind of exciting because it's a way to get color in the form, but not painting the form, not painting the steel.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm doing now. And I have a new studio that's in Jersey City. And I look out at the Hudson River
Mhm.
and and it's so inspiring. And it's just there's always motion, activity. It's really fascinating. So it feels like it's relating to this series that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see how this develops. It's relatively new, and so we'll see what happens.
And well, I have a last question, but you feel free to add anything you want after. How do you see your work evolving in response to current global issues and technological advancements?
Um, well, a global issue certainly is water. That's a big issue. Um, I felt like I responded in a way that was meaningful and authentic to me to migration. Um, and technologically, I mean, I feel like I'm using the technology that is useful to me at this point. Um, I have students that are doing laser cutting and
Mhm.
3D printing, and um, right now I don't have any interest in that, but who knows? That might change. But I don't have any interest. I'm very much involved with what the
Yeah.
hand does. I like the the physicality of things. I like making, um, and I like the authenticity and the intimacy of making.
Mhm.
So, um, and as far as world events, yeah, there's a lot that could be done there. I feel like I'm a very optimistic person. I'm a meditator, um, and I feel like just by putting work out in the world that um, possibly could, add to joy or add to someone feeling energy or feeling light or feeling positive would be is a contribution. So, but again, I don't know how people will respond, but I know that for me, I have to listen to my heart and be authentic in what I'm doing and what I choose to do. And, um, and that's all I can do.
Thank you. Would you like to share something else?
Um, there's a beautiful new book out, and I'll get it.
Okay.
This is a beautiful new book out by uh,
Okay.
Fade.
Hmm.
Um, and this man is my mentor. Uh,
Oh.
and he was a chair designer, did the first stacking chair, the 40 and 40 chair, um, which is having its 60th anniversary. Um, and the reason I mention him is he was so inspirational for me because of his attitude and his work ethic and his the way his mind worked. And so this book just came out, and I'm just so thrilled to have it and see it. And he's no longer with us, but I think that this book is a tribute to him, and I feel like I uh, want to pay tribute to him as well for all that he has shared with me. So
Thank you. And thank you so much for being with us today. And we
thank,
can't wait to see your work at our exhibition.
thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
inviting me to speak. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was really a real pleasure for me.
For me too.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye.